The past year in federal cybersecurity policy was full of uncertainty. A change in administration, expiring authorities, and the emergence of artificial intelligence all brought plenty of questions to the cybersecurity landscape. Going into 2026, cyber policymakers and experts are hoping for more clarity. For more on what to expect in the year ahead, Federal News Network's Justin Doubleday joins me now. Justin, great to have you.
Thanks for having me, Terry.
It has been a busy year in cybersecurity. What are the top things to expect from the Trump administration when it comes to cyber in 2026?
Well, the number one thing that folks are watching is the issuance of a new national cybersecurity strategy. It's expected to drop early in the new year. And White House National Cyber Director Sean Cairncross has spent this past fall, going around the speaker circuit in D.C. and elsewhere and kind of previewing this strategy. During an appearance at the Aspen Institute's Cyber Summit in November, Cairncross talked about how the strategy will, guide agencies through shared policy objectives rather than prescriptive mandates. And its top priority will be shaping adversarial behavior. This is something you hear a lot from Trump administration officials. What they mean by that is trying to impose costs on hackers for the things like ransomware to nation state attacks on critical infrastructure and government agencies. And this is something, of course, that multiple administrations have sought to do in cybersecurity. But in this case, the Trump administration is really leaning into this idea of shaping costs through things like offensive cyber activity and other things. Here's Cairncross speaking a little bit more about that at the Aspen Institute's Cyber Summit.
It's going to be a short statement of intent and policy, and then it will be paired very quickly with action items and deliverables under that. As a top-line matter, it's going to be focused on shaping adversary behavior, introducing costs and consequences into this mix. I think as a country, we have not done a terrific job of sending a signal to our adversaries that this behavior is not consequence-free. And we need to do that because it is scaling and it is becoming more aggressive every passing day.
Justin, how will those conversations around artificial intelligence play into this new cybersecurity policy?
Well, the strategy will certainly hit on AI, and you could expect it to hit on AI from multiple angles. That's because cyber experts, cyber policies have really broken down how AI plays with cybersecurity into three main buckets. There's these big concerns about how hackers are going to be able to use AI to really speed up and pull off potentially more devastating cybersecurity intrusions and campaigns. This concern that's been longstanding has really came to fruition in November when Anthropic, one of the frontier AI model companies, published a report warning that a group connected to the Chinese government used its Claude Code AI tool as part of a sophisticated espionage campaign. Anthropic claims that this may be one of the first large-scale cyber attacks ever committed without significant human involvement. So those concerns about offensive hackers using AI are pretty ripe right now. There are also concerns, of course, about the security risks of AI systems generally, about the myriad risks that using AI poses to enterprises and individuals when it comes to leaking data, when it comes to potentially pulling open more seams in the digital environment than already exist, just because of the automated nature of these tools, the ability for them to access large amounts of data, and the kind of opacity of how they operate. And then the third big bucket is, of course, how can cyber defenders take advantage of AI? And folks see a lot of opportunities there as well. And I'm sure you'll see the strategy lean into that. There's already been a lot of policy and guidance put out around this. You could look to NIST's AI security framework. NIST published an AI profile for its cybersecurity framework, draft of it just this past December, kind of how AI can be applied, or how the cyber framework can be applied to AI in different ways. And then in early December, the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency released some new guidance on securely integrating AI into operational technology, OT, the stuff that really operates some of the physical systems that we all rely on. That's another area to watch, and CISA is obviously putting out some guidance there.
It sounds like the cyber strategy then will pull all of these disparate pieces together into a comprehensive whole.
That's the hope. And I think, folks see opportunities for there to be even more kind of whole of government and more directness, I guess, on how agencies should be basically tackling these risks around AI and how the government kind of sees the risks of AI for when it comes to cyber more generally. Drew Bagley is CrowdStrike's vice president and counsel for privacy and cyber policy. And he spoke about what he sees as opportunities for AI cyber policy going into 2026.
Coming out of CISA, there's this opportunity for leadership on AI security, where CISA can provide guidance to those who are implementing AI in federal agencies as far as what the security standards need to be to make sure that that AI is secure and that AI is not introducing a security threat in and of itself. And that's where I think that a lot of that is really building off of some of the same concepts we've seen for years. And we see a call out to different technologies, right? EDR, zero trust, log management, and concepts like threat hunting. But you can really boil it down to visibility. You have visibility into your risk, or do you not?
It sounds like there will be a lot to watch there. What's on Congress's agenda when it comes to cyber?
First and foremost, the reauthorization of CISA 2015, the Cybersecurity Information Sharing Act of 2015. I know a lot of your listeners have been following this, but for folks who haven't been as closely, the law that basically enables different organizations to share cyber threat information without fear of privacy concerns and things like that, it expired on October 1st of this year. It was revived temporarily as part of the continuing resolution that passed in November, but it expires again on January 30th. And so the question is, will lawmakers extend this law before it expires again? And how will they extend it? Will they do a short-term extension? Will they do a 10-year clean extension that essentially just extends the law as is? Or will they pick up a House bill that tries to update the law and does some things around artificial intelligence and terminology that has just changed since a decade ago when this cybersecurity law was first written? The leaders of these efforts to extend this law are very uncertain about how this is going to go because there's just a lot of complexities with getting this through Congress. House Homeland Security Committee Chairman Andrew Garbarino spoke a little bit about this at an event in December, and he essentially said he doesn't know what's going to happen in January as they try to come up with a solution. In the House, Garbarino is essentially trying to assuage some Freedom Caucus members who have concerns about free speech and privacy in the bill and trying to get something through there that can be amenable to their concerns. And in the Senate, Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee Chairman Rand Paul has been essentially a huge barrier to reauthorizing this bill. He has tied his concerns about free speech to how CISA, the agency, previously did some activities around mis and disinformation, and he would like to see kind of a blanket ban on that in any sort of bill. That poses huge challenges to getting bipartisan support in the Senate for this bill. Beyond him, there is a lot of bipartisan support, but since he's the chairman of the committee, he can essentially block a lot of efforts to get a clean reauthorization through, essentially. So there's just a lot of uncertainty around CISA 2015 going into January.
Justin, this is such a complex topic and the frontier moves so quickly. What else are you watching for in 2026?
Yeah, one that I think has fallen off of some people's radar, but I know folks are watching it. The Cybersecurity Incident Reporting for Critical Infrastructure Act. That law is set to be implemented starting this year in some form or fashion. This law will require critical infrastructure organizations of all stripes to report cyber incidents to CISA, the agency, within 72 hours. And this is a major sea change in how cybersecurity information sharing works, in how the cyber regulatory landscape works, because you now have this huge blanket requirement where previously a lot of that collaboration had been voluntary, except for some distinct sectors that were required to report cyber incidents. And so CISA is set to finalize those regulations by May of 2026. The agency had put out a preliminary rule under the Biden administration, a draft rule, I should say, under the Biden administration. That was criticized for being a little bit overly broad and capturing too many types of cyber incidents and critical infrastructure organizations. So the Trump administration has said they're going to try to streamline the CERCIA rule and find ways to deconflict it with other cyber regulations. But that's one to watch in May of 2026, what CISA puts out when it comes to cyber incident reporting.
Sounds like it will be another busy year in cyberspace.
Yeah, it's never going to be a dull year. Not for any time soon.
That's Federal News Network's Justin Doubleday. Justin, thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
You can find the full story at federalnewsnetwork.com.